All right, welcome to another edition of the Spotter Stand, coming at you this week from Iowa Motor Speedway on Father's Day. It's our Father's Day edition of the Spotter Stand. Hope everybody's having a good Father's Day out there so far. Appreciate you tuning in. Our normal Larry, he's a little busy with Father's Day stuff himself. Wasn't able to make it this afternoon, but we've got Big Panda BSR Pockets in the booth with us, and special guest Aussie Bill with us this week. How you guys doing?
What's up? Happy Father's Day, fellas. Yeah, the good doctor, Larry Yeager, probably out on a house call doing his Father's Day duties. So we're here at the Cornhole, as I like to call it in Iowa. And I'm really excited about leaving Iowa, but we're still here for the spotter stand. So there's that.
Yeah, we were going to wait for the race to end to start this, but since they had another late caution, it was pushing, pretty far past the start time. So we figured we'd go on and get it rolling, get the news from last week out, and let you guys know where we're going to be going next week. And I appreciate everybody being here. And we've got a few picks to share with you this week. First off, I'd like to share this one that BSR Pocket shared a little earlier. Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there.
Yep, we got a lot of fathers here, and as time progresses, a lot of these fathers have turned into grandfathers. So uh, lots of celebrations going on in honor of Father's Day today. So we want to make sure that we let everybody know Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there, and everyone that's enjoying Father's Day, whether you're a father or you have a father or however you spend the day. We hope it's a good one.
Now, you guys will recall just a little over a couple of weeks ago, we had our All Star races, and the Cup Series All Star race. There was a special prize awarded to the winner of that race, being a T-shirt, which Rick Johnson was the lucky recipient of that. He earned that win in the All-Star race, got himself a few bonus points toward the chase. And this cool T-shirt here, you can see it's got his number on it and his name right there on the front. We also have a pic of the back of the shirt here. You got the Bomb Squad All-Star Race logo on the back of it. Now, that's a pretty cool looking shirt.
A- a- Absolutely. That's a one off, one of a kind. You walk into somewhere wearing that shirt like my good friend Reggie's going to be able to do. Nobody going to have a shirt like that. That'll be a good conversation starter and everything. And he earned that in the All Star race. And congratulations. Excuse me. Congratulations to him. And thanks to Tim Scarborough, Christy Scarborough, and everybody at WLS Graphics for throwing that together for us. That's a great and unique prize right there. Like I told my buddy Rick, I wished I had it and he didn't.
Yeah, WLS Graphics, BSR Scar was a provider of this shirt for this series. We thank them. They do quite a bit for us as a league, a lot more than providing a prize here and there. Scar does all of the graphics work. Pretty much every logo you're going to see was done by BSR Scar. He does a lot of car paintings. Those Saturday Night Team Series cars are all painted by Scar. We really appreciate him. He does a lot for this league.
He really does. He's also WLS Graphics is also the provider of graphics. When you look at a package of Drunken Cow Jerky, our official sponsor, he did those labels also for Mark and Richard Heyman and everyone down in Dallas, Drunken Cow Jerky. So that just shows the unlimited talent that WLS Graphics has and the great work that they do.
Now, also, we've got a rare treat this week for you. We've got a picture of our down under neighbor, BSR Aussie Bill. He had to get all dudded up there in his suit to go to a wedding recently, and we got a pic from him. And there you go. That's Aussie Bill. We race with him every night, every week, and appreciate you sharing that pic with us, Bill.
Okay, Texas. Just shows you all of them getting made.
Well, I can tell you this: Aussie Bill is the one member of our league that legitimately makes us an international sim racing league. As some of you know, and if you don't know, Aussie Bill is from Sydney, Australia, and he actually races. He's a day ahead of us. So on Saturday night when we're racing, or Friday, whatever night we're racing, but for example, on Saturday night when we're racing, Bill's racing on Sunday morning. So he's always a little bit of ahead of us due to the circumference of the earth and the time zones. And we're just proud to have Bill as a part of our group. And like I said, he legitimately makes us an international sim racing league.
That's right. And since you brought that up, Pockets, about the circumference of the Earth, I just would like to point out the Earth is round for all you folks out there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In case you didn't know.
On to Sunday night, the Nitro Series. Just started up a new season this last week and ran at Michigan. And myself was the winner of the race there at Michigan. I was a little bit lucky. There were 4 of us racing pretty hard for the lead pretty much that whole race. And the 3 guys that were in front of me, I was in 4th at the time. I think we were on the last lap, second to the last lap. It was very close to the end of the race. And one of them just barely bumped the other. I think it was Roger, maybe just barely got into Chevy going into the corner there. And Robert Balcom was right behind them. And they all three ended up tangled up. And I was able to go right under them and brought home the victory at Michigan.
Yeah, it looks like the top 5 in that rounded out to be, of course, you were the winner. 201 of BSR Texan out of Mesquite, Texas, gets the checkered flag. The number 018 of Robert Balcom out of Nashville, Tennessee, gets second. Third place, 096 BSR Chevy Chase coming to you out of San Diego, California. The number 0 of BSR Bama coming to you from the Birmingham, Alabama area. And the 028 of Monty Keller coming out of Fontana, California rounds out your top 5. 2 California drivers there, 2 left coasters making in the top 5 in the Sunday Nitro Series.
Yeah, and that pretty much, gives you your top 5 there in the standings as well, being the first race of the season. There I am up in the lead. Robert in second place down by 3. Chevy in third down by 4. Bama in fourth down by 5th. And Poor Boy rounding out the top 5 down by 6. Real close after race number 1. Where are we going to be headed to tonight? I believe there is a race tonight.
There
on
is a
Father's
race.
Day for all you guys who want to come out and run the Sunday Nitro Series. Where's that one going to be?
There is a race tonight scheduled at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Sunday Nitro Series. Axel Foley and the boys in the Axel Foley Sunday Nitro Series heads to Bristol for some short track racing action. That ought to be action-packed and great racing there at Bristol tonight.
Oh, yeah, Bristol and the Aero 88 mod. It's going to be some fun.
Yes, it will.
Well, we were off on Tuesday night, but then on Wednesday, we run the NASCAR truck schedule, and the trucks this week were at Iowa Motor Speedway, and that wasn't a bad race this week. Maybe got off to a little bit of a rocky start, like some of them do, a few cautions early, but we had some good green flag runs, and we did have a green flag pit stop in this race. And there I am again, BSR Texan, coming out with a win on Wednesday night in the Truck Series at Iowa.
Yes, you are. There you are again at the top of the board at Iowa. Newton, Iowa, the track there in Iowa. 201 BSR Texan coming out of Mesquite, Texas. The number 24 BSR Poor Boy, Roger Big Daddy Bevins out of Belfry, Kentucky. Number 21 of Steve Looney, another great driver out of the Birmingham, Alabama area. The 096 BSR Chevy Chase. The 66 of Terry Scott coming to you out of Portage, Indiana, rounds out the top 5 there.
Now, this series is the one series out of the three, the Truck, NXS, and Cup, that only has one segment before the Cup. So we're about halfway, a little over halfway through before we get to the Chase. And the points so far, there I am, BSR Texan at the top so far, with Brain Fade in second, down by 35. Poor Boy in third, down by 39. Chevy Chase in fourth, down by 41. And Pockets rounding out the top five, down by 51. And remember, there are still some segment bonus points on the line for all three of these series for the final segment before the Chase. So these top five, whoever finishes top five in the end of this segment, will receive at least one more bonus point. The leader will receive two going into the Chase.
Yeah, you can see that top five, that cutoff line there at the top five. That's it's starting to get a little crowded right there as everyone tries to work their way into that top five for those valuable bonus points that you'll be able to carry into the Chase with you. So that's a lot of people fighting to stay in the top five, a lot of people fighting to get into the top five. So that's going to make it interesting as this season continues. And as you referred to, this is the Wednesday night Drunken Cow Jerky Truck Series. It is a shorter series because we actually follow the real truck series and simulate what they do, and we go to the same tracks and everything. So that's why this series is a little bit shorter, and it's not divided up into different segments. It's just one big long segment. So that like I say, these points will continue to change every week as we soldier on through the series. So we'll keep an eye on that here on the Spotter Stand.
Yes, and on the Wednesday nights that the Truck Series doesn't run with their limited schedule, we have a Dirt Series that fills in on those Wednesdays. So we always have a race up on Wednesday night. And speaking of that, Pockets, are the trucks running next week? Do we have a Truck Series race scheduled for next week?
Let's have a look here. Yes, it appears that the Drunken Cow Jerky Wednesday Night Truck Series is headed to Missouri for Gateway Night, just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, for the Gateway track there. So, yeah, we'll be firing up the trucks there and headed to St. Louis for some racing action on Wednesday night in the Drunken Cow Jerky Truck Series.
Gateway, that's another kind of unique track, kind of like this Iowa one here that we just left. There's not Iowa. I'd say the closest thing to it for me would be Richmond. I know you and a few other guys say it's nothing like Richmond, but Iowa's kind of unique. It's its own track, and like I said, it's similar to Richmond, but it's definitely different. Nothing else out there really like it.
Yeah, that Gateway is a very unique track because this is the only series and the only time that we run on it, I believe. I don't believe the Xfinity runs on it. I think they used to, but I think this, I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, that's a very unique track, and that's a great track, and it's been around forever. We've raced it for, 14 years probably. I mean, this track is always on the schedule, but it's one of those unique tracks that we go to one time a year. And it's always a good time to head back to St. Louis. They're right there in the middle of America, one of the flyover states that we like to visit, and it's a good track, and it produces some great racing, and it's unique because we don't go there a lot. It's one time of schedule, so you look at how many years it's been on the schedule. If it has been 14 years, we've raced it 14 times. So that makes it kind of unique. And it's one that kind of sneaks up on people when we head to St. Louis. They go, oh yeah, we forgot we got a race there. But that is a great track. It'll produce some good racing.
Now on Thursday night in the Cup Series, there was no race this last week. The Cup Series was off. But we do have a race coming up this Thursday. And we all know where that's going to be. That's going to be in Finian, Sonoma Raceway. One of my, I wouldn't say my favorites, but, I love all the road courses. And I'm going to enjoy that race for sure.
Yeah, as we head into the summer months, we're going to start digging a little deeper into the schedule. And we head out west California to Infineon for our first scheduled road course, but there are you get into July and August here, and then even in some of these other series, we're gonna start seeing some of these road courses pop up, and that's where these drivers are really gonna get to showcase their talents because driving on circle tracks it's an art. It's something that we work real hard on a weekly basis and everything like that. And these road courses just throw the monkey wrench right into the equation there, and it's going to be. And we always have really good road course races. You know, a lot of people run road course races without flags and stuff like that because of the way the tracks are set up and everything. But we still stick to the same philosophy of simulating what the real guys run, and that's the way we run our road courses. And they are surprisingly great races with great drivers. And what's interesting about the road courses is you'll see some guys who are, you know, they're fairly successful at the speedways and the super speedways, and you've got a certain few people that everybody in the garage area points to when we head to a road course race. So you'll be able to see the guys that are ringers and specialize in these road courses, and they do a really good job. You can tell that they spend some of the off season and some of their off days practicing these road courses, getting ready for these races on our schedule.
Hey, Larry. Glad you could make it.
It's just flew in, guys.
The good doctor lands in just in time. Happy Father's Day, Larry.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Yes. Thanks, guys. You too.
And we were just talking about these road courses with Infineon coming up, and Pockets was mentioning some of the courses coming up in other series. And speaking of, road courses, this Friday night series that we're getting ready to do the points on now, 3 out of the last 4 races in segment 2 are road courses in this series. So, you know, you're going to have Watkins Glen in there, of course. And then you also have the, Mid-Ohio and Road America in there.
Oh, yep.
I know that it may be Mid-Ohio or the CTMP Canadian Tire, one or the other. But I know 3 out of the last 4 races in this last segment before the chase are road courses in this series.
Yeah, they've kind of done a good job of scheduling them all kind of in the same area. You know, here in the heat of the summer, getting close to the end of our regularly scheduled series and stuff like that. And this Sonoma track that we're going to this Thursday is probably the most difficult technical track besides maybe Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's a pretty tough track, but it's a well-rounded schedule to where the different series are racing at different road courses, and it's going to be something really exciting. A lot of us look forward to. I mean, even the guys that don't consider themselves great road course racers, they still get a little excited about doing something a little different and getting out and turning left and right on some of these series. And so it'll produce some great racing and a good time for sure.
That's right. And the last 3 races are actually Watkins Glen, then Mid-Ohio, then it's Bristol, and then it was oh man, I just lost the schedule. There it is. Road America. That's the last 4 races of the Friday night.
Yeah, schedule. So it is Mid-Ohio, Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, and Road America. 3 out of the last 4 being road courses.
And then you have Bristol in the middle, at the second to last race, which is going to be a big obstacle also.
Well, this week, this week on Friday, we raced at Iowa again, same as the trucks. And Robert Balcom bringing home the win on Friday night. That's 2 in a row for him.
3 in a row.
Yes.
Yep, you got the big turkey.
Well, I noticed looking at the standings earlier. Maybe you can help us with this. It looks like the Pocono standings have been removed off of there completely because I'm not seeing those.
Yes. I told Pockets last night when I was doing the scoring, I got all Mr. Balcom's points back up except for that race. I had to remove it, and then to find out after I removed it that I did not have the export, so I have to get with my partner in crime, Mr. Brainfade, and then we'll have it all straightened out, and all the points will be accurate for Mr. Balcom again.
Yes, the scoring and scheduling department is dealing with a little bit of a glitch that we have to. They're working hard all the time, trying to make sure that everything's correct, and they are in the middle of the process of doing that. But that is, uh, it is a fact that the Tennessee Titan White Chocolate Robert Balcom, driver out of Nashville, Tennessee, the 118, has won 3 in a row. He is
That is correct.
terrorizing that
He was
series.
the winner at Pocono for sure.
And I think it's worth noting, he has painted a bullseye on his back by being the guy to beat when the 118 rolls in through the gates and unloads his car. Everybody's looking at him, and they're watching Robert very closely. Robert is a great guy, and he is a damn fine racer, and everyone is they've got their eye on Robert. They're looking at him as the guy to beat, or to even compete with, because if you can compete with him, you're going to have a certain amount of success. So we'll see if Robert can keep this string alive, and see how it goes, and we'll keep you up to date on his success here on the Spotter Stand every Sunday.
Yes, Friday night, Robert won. Terry Scott got second. Poor Boy third. Mr. Looney got fourth, and Chevy Chase rounds out top 5.
You know, I thought I might have had something maybe for Robert Friday night. I know I could run with him. Now passing him, that's a whole nother thing, because it's not quite as easy as being able to run up to him. But I had some bad luck Friday night and lost my internet and couldn't get it back. So I didn't have a chance to finish that race. But congrats to Robert. Definitely fast, and like Pockets was saying, that's the guy to beat. If he's in the server, that's going to be the guy to beat any track, any night.
Well, yeah, that's true. Earlier in the race, I had one lap down. You guys came by me, and yep, you and him were running pretty close together. You were definitely with him, Texan. That's for sure. I think you may have had something for him at the end of that race.
You know, and it's interesting to note that Robert has had success in real racing, you know, that we try to simulate. Robert has a storied career in real racing, and Robert knows a lot of people. Robert has top shelf equipment. Robert races all of the time. He probably races more sim races in a week than anybody out there. He is seriously dedicated to it. He's a hard-working father. Happy Father's Day to Robert, if he's out there listening. And I tell you, he works hard all day. He's always rushing through the door after working 12, 13 hours. You know, he's taking care of his family, and then he's sitting down in that race chair, and he gets down to business. And it's interesting. The other night he was racing, and as some of you race fans may remember, a driver, Casey Atwood, was at Robert's house watching him race, asking him questions about how to be a part of some of the good racing that we have here at Bomb Squad Racing. And so that'll kind of give you a backstory of the success, and Robert he's the real deal. I mean, he really is.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing too. And then after that race, we kind of conned him into running in the dirt, and everyone was kind of joking and kidding around and saying, "Oh yeah, we'll get to pass Robert. We never get to pass Robert. Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then lo and behold, I give him a couple pointers and a little bit of lessons, and he's out there whooping all our butts again in the dirt.
Yeah, it's like I said, all you have to do with Robert is just hand him the steering wheel and stand back, and he's gonna show you something. You're gonna be able to learn something from him. He can, just like, you know, that's what you look for in a great race car driver, the way that they can adapt to certain situations. And you throw Robert out there on the dirt, on the slick banks of that track there in Mesquite, and Robert, he didn't disappoint. He you know, that was his debut in the dirt series, and everybody's already saying, all right, now we got another guy to compete with here in the dirt series. So hats off to Robert, man. It's I was thinking the other day, you can tell the success of a sim racing league and your races and what you're trying to do by the drivers that decide to commit to come to these races and be a part of them. And Robert is he is a perfect example of that, because he's a great guy and he's a great racer, and he just legitimizes our series even more and supports what we're trying to do and our vision. And we appreciate him coming out and showing out every night.
Yes, he's a top quality individual, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at the points in this Friday night series. Now, granted, these are missing the Pocono results, but they're pretty much pretty close to where they would be. Robert would probably have a little bit bigger lead. Currently being shown in the lead with Terry Scott in second down by 7, Chevy Chase in third down by 8, BSR Pockets in fourth down by 17, and Brain Fade running out the top 5 down by 18. Now, those will change
Yes.
a little bit once we get
Robert,
those Pocono results updated.
yeah, he'll probably be at least 12 points ahead. I'd be betting.
Yeah, I'm sure by next week, by the time we do the spotter stand next week, that these points will be updated. I believe
Yes,
the
yes, they
Xfinity
will be.
series is off next week. They don't run, but we can still share the updated points with you on this
Yes.
series by the spotter stand next week.
And
Yes.
again, if you look at the level of competition here, just look at that cutoff point. Again, 5th place, Brain Fade. He's only 2 points out, but that's a 3-way, and then there's a 2-way tie. Yeah, I mean, just,
Yeah, and Axel's only a point behind, and yep, that's tight right there. Top 10.
I mean,
Fifth
you
to
just,
10th is tight.
I mean, 9th to 5th, is separated by a mere 4 points of people fighting to get in that top 5 and fighting to stay in the top 5. So that's kind of the epicenter of where the action points wise is right there. You can see when we drew that line at 5th place, all of a sudden there's the epicenter of the action. That's where everybody's fighting to get into, and it shows on these points. You can see that these guys, they look at these points and they say, well, I'm 4th place, because a lot of people racers are under the philosophy, I always tell people all the time, you race, you don't race everybody at one time. You race the guy that's in front of you. That's who you're racing. Once you pass him, then you're looking at the next guy. And it's the same way when they look at these points. Tell these guys are taking a peek at these points. They're keeping up with it, keeping up with the standings, and they know where they need to be. They know who they need to be to advance up the rankings. And that's, like I said, you can see it right there around that little magic 5th spot. That's where the action is.
That's kind of funny because at Pocono, I was poking at Monty Keller. If you remember, Pockets, that I was going to catch him and pass him, trying to talk him into getting a black flag on his last pit stop, which he didn't do. But I mean, that's how tight and you know what I mean. That's how special that 5th place is going to end up being. So
yeah, so it's making for some great racing, and the procedures that we have in place here, I think, are a direct reflection of creating some great action for these series.
no second.
Second. Yes.
No, it was no.
It was the first
was
race.
the first race. Yes, that's right.
That was the first race of the second season of the Voiles Trucking Friday Night Dirt Series Madness in Mesquite, with special support from our good friends at DrunkenCowJerky.com, and we've stuck with the philosophy. The last series was so much fun and so successful that the majority of drivers lobbied to have this series go back to Mesquite and back to the same track for 10 more races every Friday night at the same track, again simulating what real racers do, your local dirt track guys who who work or live around the area, and they're into dirt racing, and they're working hard on their cars at night, getting them all prepared and everything, and then they show up at their local track on Friday night. That is what we simulate with this series, and it has been a huge success. A lot of fun, a lot of great racing. I mean, fantastic racing. Our sponsor for this series, Brian Voiles, and his wife Kathy, could not be more happy. Brian loves the dirt racing, and we're glad to have him sponsor that series with great prizes and great support. And so we're headed back in, and we've completed race number 1 of season 2 as we head towards crowning another champion in the dirt series on Friday night. So we've got 9 more races lined up on Friday nights to get you some great dirt track action.
That's right. Thanks for pointing that out, Momo. My mic was temporarily muted, so you guys on YouTube probably weren't able to hear me there for just a minute. From what I hear, that was a great race Friday night, and Rick Johnson at number 93 brings home the win, the first win of the season at the Devil's Bowl.
My man,
That's right.
54, BSR Momo, we finna talk about you.
Yeah,
Mr. Eli
yes, we
got,
are. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Larry.
Mr. Eli got second. Brain Fade got third. Robert Balcom, White Chocolate gets fourth, and Mr. Magoo rounds out the top 5.
I think it's worth noting that White Chocolate, Robert Balcom again, he led a huge
He
part
led the
of
most
that race.
laps. Yep, 74.
Yeah.
Me and him were battling pretty tough for quite a while there, and I kind of bumped him and got him turned around and twisted up, and we both went to the back. He was coming up through. We were both coming up through together, and last lap incidents kind of changed the results around again. But
and even for a really good driver like Robert to enter into your first dirt race, I mean, that's not Robert's first dirt race, but it's his first race in this series and everything like that. It is going to take a little bit of work to get acclimated to how everything works in that series, because that is not asphalt racing. This is not racing on pavement. This is something totally different. And for a guy to come in with, in the first race in that season, in that series, to get a top 5 that's success. You can chalk that up to success. And I could tell Robert when he was leaving the track, you could tell that the determination that he had, he's going to be back next week, and he's going to be a threat. He's already committed.
Yes,
that's the kind of competition, competitive spirit that Robert carries with him. He's coming back, and in that 4th place, he's going to try to do better. And I'm pretty confident that we're going to see him in Victory Circle here before long on the Friday Night Dirt Series. So keep an eye out.
Let's take a look at the points after one race here.
Will.
Looks like Rick Johnson holding the top spot. Eli 114. That's another fast driver. He's fast every Friday night. Down by 1 in second. Brain Fade in third, down by 4. Robert in fourth, down by 6. And BSR Magoo rounding out the top 5, down by 8.
Yes, with that, Eli and myself won the heats. That's why he's only down by 1 instead of 2. 2-point spreads per position in the dirt series.
Now Rick Johnson puts himself atop the leaderboard there with that win on the first race of the Friday Night Dirt Series segment 2, season 2. So we'll see if he has what it takes to keep himself up there, because there's going to be some people taking a swing at him, trying to knock him off of that top spot. Eli 114, he's going to be one of them. You got Brain Fade, who is a great all-around driver, great on the dirt, driving the number 49 Drunken Cow Jerky Reaper car, representing our sponsor out there in 3rd place. So he's that action's only going to get better as this series progresses.
On to Saturday night in
Saturday night
Team Series, Battle of the 6 Flavors. This week in season number 35, race number 2,
That would be the drunkencowjerky.com Saturday Night Team Series Season 35 Battle of the Six Flavors. 6 flavors of Drunken Cow Jerky being represented in a team style atmosphere for 10 races.
Yes, that's right. And Teriyaki in race number 2, repeating with a different driver. This time it's BSR Momo taking the victory for his team, Teriyaki, in the second race of season 35.
There he is, the 54. Who got the top 5 out of there, Larry? You got that?
Yep, teriyaki. I don't have the drivers. It was
Yeah,
teriyaki, beer bacon, Reaper, hot, and then original.
I think it's very interesting to note, we touched on last week about how team racing it works and how that you're not necessarily, since just one driver from each team scores to place your team on the standings. Last week I was fortunate enough to win with some great help by my teammate 54 and my other teammate Ray Fitty Fitty. And I was thinking about this earlier. Last week I won, Momo was the lap down. This week Momo won, I was a lap down. But we stayed connected. We stayed in contact with each other. We worked well together. And that is a perfect example of how the team series works.
Yeah, and if you recall, Beer Bacon, my team, we were the guys, we were battling with Teriyaki. I mean, that was a hell of a race. The last 10 laps, we were side by side. And my teammate, Chevy Chase, was behind me, also a lap down.
It was
fact, he
almost
might have
a
been
mirror.
multiple. He may have been multiple laps down, but yeah, you're exactly right as far as how your teammate can, you can still affect that race. You may be a lap down, you might not have a chance to win, but since only one car for your team is scored, being a lap down, you can still help your team with that draft. And we literally were battling for the last 10 laps side by side, low line, high line, and there were no other lap cars with us. It was me and my lap car teammate, and you and your lap car, or Momo, and you, his lap car teammate. And yeah, that was a great race. You guys pulled it out there in the end, got us up on the high side.
It was almost a mirror of the race from the week before. The two teams battling, 4 drivers, the same 4 people. I mean, we're battling. We ran, I don't know how many laps there at the end, just door handle to door handle, swapping the lead back and forth. And I tell you, this is a perfect example of a team building experience right here. You could not script that any better, because like I said, you learn real quick that since only one car scores, it's not about you. It's about your team. It's about the health of your team, the success of your team. Each driver gets the spotlight, and even though you may not officially be in the spotlight, you are instrumental in helping put your teammate in the spotlight, and that shines a favorable light on you and your team as a whole, and it works out great. These first 2 races in this series has been outstanding. I was looking at a few things the other day, and in 2 races, 208 laps on super speedway racing on Saturday night, we've had 1 caution for a blown motor, something that was completely out of our control. It wasn't a driver error or anything like that. But Saturday night's race, caution free for 104 laps at Talladega. You do not get any better than that. That is as top quality as you can get, and we're proud of everybody that comes out and supports the drunkencowjerky.com Saturday Night Team Series Season 35, and congratulations to my buddy 54 Momo out of West Columbia, South Carolina.
Well, let's take a look at the points after 2 races and 2 victories for the Teriyaki team. Obviously, they're in the top. Beer Bacon in second, down by 8. Hot in third, down by 11. Reaper in fourth, down by 15. Original in fifth, down by 19. And Ghost having a rough go of it this season, rounding out the board there, down by 33.
And I can tell you, the way this series is scored with 3 drivers on each team, That's not like looking at these regular standings that we look at every week in these other series that we race. That right there can flip in a minute. It will, as you watch this progress. We'll keep you up to date every Sunday here on the Spotter Stand. You watch these points and watch how these teams will rise and fall and be in them. It's actually fantastic to watch how these points work, because this is the second race. This ain't over. It ain't even got started good. The action is going to heat up the more and more as we dig into this 10-race schedule. And that was just race 2. So there is more exciting coming your way on the Saturday Night Team Series, I will assure you.
Yeah, watch out for that Reaper team. They're not that far back to be. Yep, they'll be up there. I guarantee that.
That is your defending. That is the two drivers, or all 3 drivers on that
All
team
3.
are the defending champions. So yes, they're not done. They had a little misfortune there Saturday night with a pit stop incident, but again, 104 laps caution free in sim racing. That's the pinnacle. It does not get any better than that. Great racing, great job by everyone, and thanks for everyone for coming out and supporting that series. It's just outstanding. I love Saturday night.
And they had 2 bad weeks in a row, and I actually helped Brain get some savior in that race. I helped him out pretty good at the end and helped him come home in a 3rd spot. So he made out pretty good.
Yeah, like Pockets was saying, that these teams will go up and down, and Teriyaki's had some good luck so far, but it's pretty rare that you'll see a team go through an entire season of 10 races without all of their cars having some sort of trouble. I've seen it happen, a lot of times when all 3 of one flavor will have an issue in a single race. And that's all it takes. All 3 of your cars have a bad race and finish toward the back, you're going to lose 15 points in one race.
Oh, absolutely. As all racers know, when you're on a high, I've told people, I had a conversation not long ago with Rick Johnson, and I said the thing about racing is that it's peaks and valleys. When you're on the top, you best be planning on that valley, because it's coming. You know that there's going to be some unfortunate things happen, bad luck, good luck. Luck is a huge part of racing. So to be prepared. You're looking around the corner waiting for that, as Magoo used to say, waiting for that piano to fall on you, because it's apt to happen. So you need to be prepared for it. You don't get complacent sitting at the top. You fight, you look, you defend, you do everything you need to do. So that's going to be a factor when it comes to these points of things like good luck, bad luck, unfortunate things happening. So we're enjoying our little moment in the sun, so to speak, right here. But we know that it's going to take a lot of hard work and dedication to keep ourselves up there, because everybody wants to be on top, and that's a tough thing to defend when you've got everybody out there looking at you trying to knock you off the top.
Yes, and that's exactly what happens too. As we get a few races in, teams start to look at, hey, Teriyaki's in the lead and we're this far behind them, so other teams will draft with you less and less when you're that far ahead of them. So it makes it that much more difficult to stay on top once you're there, because everybody, like you said, everybody wants to be on top. So the other teams sort of start ganging up and working together to beat that guy that's on top.
And there's a lot of different scenarios that play out every Saturday night when we line up. There's, people will look, they'll start doing the math, so to speak, and they'll say, this team is behind me. If I can use them to advance myself, and even though they advance because they're behind me, hey, so be it. I'm still looking at the goal of advancing my team. So the scenarios that it creates in team racing is really outstanding. I mean, there's nothing else like it because of all the different, it's a thinking game every lap. You have to think of what's going to be the best for your team. And, there's cooperation. There's just a myriad of things that you can do to advance your team and try to work those points. So that is the beauty of Saturday night team racing, is all the different scenarios that it throws to you and you can use to your advantage.
Yeah, like take the hot team there, for instance. In next week's race, they'll be looking back saying, well, I can finish behind Reaper, behind Original, so long as I'm in front of Beer Bacon, in front of Teriyaki. So, if they can get behind one of those teams and use the draft to be in front of some of the teams that are in front of them, and they'll finish behind that team that's behind them, so long as it helps them advance on those points that are in front of them. That just closes the gap that much more.
Absolutely, and it's just makes it very interesting.
And that's a funny kind of a story, because in the Saturday night race, I was with you and Chevy Texan, and I was planning on helping you all the way to the end till I had that mishap where you slowed up a little more than I thought you were going to, and I had to lock the car up to keep from hitting you, and then blew my tire. But if I would have been there, Teriyaki wouldn't have won again this week. I know that for sure, because I would have definitely not helped them. I was all out for helping the, as you would say, the car that's least amount of points ahead of me. Let's put it that way.
Exactly, and we could have used your help, that's for sure, because we gave it all we had, and they just beat us just by about a half a car length.
That was like I said, that was the plan. That was my whole plan. So just kind of backfired on me a little bit.
Well, after the Saturday night team series, we move over to the Boyles Trucking Saturday Night Speedway Series, where there are stage racing, just like NASCAR is doing now, stage 1, stage 2, and the end of the race. This week we ran at Las Vegas in the Speedway Series, and White Chocolate M&M's, number 118 Robert Balcom, brought home another victory in the Boyles Trucking Speedway Series.
Yes, Rick Johnson got second, BSR Texan in third, Steve Looney gets fourth, and rounding out the top 5 was Monty Keller. It's also noteworthy that I don't know if you guys have seen or were paying attention to, but Robert has won 6 of 7 of these races so far.
Yes, I have been paying attention to that. I've seen that. When you go into the results or into the schedule, you see his name as the winner there on almost every one of those races. He's been dominating that series.
Absolutely. You heard me go on a little tear there about the success of Robert and giving a little backstory on him a little bit, and some people may perceive that as me pumping up Robert or advertising Robert, but I'm telling you right now, I can only talk about the people that need to be talked about, and Robert that's forced me to do that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I would just as soon give accolades to anyone out there, because that's kind of what we do here. But Robert he's put himself in a situation to where I don't have no choice to talk about him. His success is dictating who I point to as great driving and great racing and great series, and he's done what it needs to be done to put me in that position. So hey, I'm proud to give him the credit that he's due. Tip my hat to the guy. He's doing a great job. I mean, that's all you can say.
Bam.
That's coming.
Let's take a look at the points here in this series.
And these are right now, too, Killa. Mr. Balcom's points have been adjusted and corrected.
Oh, do we have any stage winners for that race? Do you happen to know who those were?
Yes. Steve Looney won the first stage. Rick Johnson and then Robert got third. Second stage was Rick Johnson winning, Steve Looney in second, and VSR Magoo got third in the second stage.
Magoo sneaks in there and gets him a little bonus segment point there. Good job, Magoo.
Yeah, and these segment bonus points have really made a huge difference, because Robert, not only has he won almost all the races, but he's almost always in that
Always
top
in
three.
that last three. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
if he's not leading at the end of the segment, he's almost always in that top three. So he's getting some kind of a stage bonus point in almost every race as well. And as you would
Yes, he's
expect,
pretty much.
he's got a big lead over Rick Johnson in second place, down by 98, and then Monty Keller in third, down by 145. Pockets in fourth, down by 164, and BSR Hot Rod rounding out the top five, down by 165. Only 1 point off of Pockets.
I
Look
can
at
tell,
that, 165.
I can tell you this. I've seen pictures of Robert's race room and the trophies and he has and stuff like that, and with the great plaques and all the prizes that Brian Voiles, Kathy Voiles, Voiles Trucking, Drunken Cow Jerky are providing. Roberts, before long, you're liable to see some plaques hanging in Robert's kitchen or in the bathroom or something, because he's going to run out of wall space at this point. He's really maximizing everything that he can in these series, and he's doing a great job. Again, I hate to make it sound like the Robert Balcom show, but hell, it is the Robert Balcom show. What are you going to say? The guy's doing a great job, and I think it's worthy of noting 2 races on Saturday night. We run the Saturday night team series, then we all head over to the Voiles Truck and Speedway series. Saturday night, 2 races, 198 laps, 0 cautions. 2 series, 2 races, 0 cautions. I don't know where you race, but as far as sim racing, it does not get any better than that, and that's a direct reflection on the quality of people and the drivers that we have in these series. So hats off to everybody that came out and enjoyed some great racing this weekend.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at our bonus points this week. In the truck series, I was able to take another victory in this series, the only series so far that I've got any bonus points for wins. Moved me up to 3 in the victory column, and also moved me up to tie with BSR Poor Boy over there in the totals. Right now at 5 bonus points. Both of us would go into the chase tied for the lead. Then you'd have Keith McLean and Chevy Chase tied for second there with 3, and Rick Johnson in there with 2. Everybody else with 1. Of course, that list will get a lot longer after we finish up stage 1, and those stage bonus points are added as well.
I've been keeping an eye on these points here, along with y'all, and I like, being a part of the spotter stand, so we come in here and talk about this, because I get some of this information. I kind of hold off and wait till you post some of this information so I can look at it at the same time the other drivers do and everything. And I think it's worth noting, Roger Bevins, BSR Poor Boy, driver out of Belfry, Kentucky. I'll tell you, he's kind of the silent killer here, because he's not flashy. He doesn't, you don't see him in the spotlight a lot, but those bonus points right there are telling a story that everybody better be listening to, that the driver of the 24 he's scratching out his spot. He's got his eye on the prize, and you can tell by the success he's had. He's had some marginal races. He's had some great races, but he is putting together a great string of finishes all season long. And that's why every Sunday here on the spotter stand, you'll hear that guy's name. I mean, it's just, there's again, we can only talk about who we can talk about. And Poor Boy's one of the ones we're talking about. And so I'm going to give him a shout out this week and say, but I'm not supposed to use the term shout out anymore. Ben Beasy, my good friend Ben Beasy, said that term needs to go away. I'm going to give a tip of the hat to Roger Bevins, because I've been noticing that every week when we throw those bonus points up, there's Raj. So people better, he's flying under the radar, but I suggest some people start looking at him as one of the people to really compete with, because Roger's he's a good all-around driver, and he's kind of sneaky. You know what I mean? He's not really flash in the pan. He comes in, he does his work, he gets down to business. And when you start adding up those bonus points and stuff, there he is. I mean, so people need to start taking a look at that.
Yeah, and those win bonus points are a little bit deceptive. It says poor boy has one there, but he actually has two because of the Daytona race, the opener of the season. There were extra bonus points available there, and poor boy won that race. So he actually has two victories, but the Daytona race has to be separate because he got 3 bonus points there instead of just one. So along with his victory at Daytona, the other victory in the series that gave him 4, and then in the All-Star race, he finished in 3rd place and got another bonus point there. And that's what's putting him right up there at the top of the board in this series.
Yep, that's you step out there and you do what needs to be done in the big show, like at Daytona, where it pays the maximum amount of bonus points. I mean, he's capitalized on that, and he's like I said, he's one that people better be looking at. They better keep an eye on Raj, because Raj is Raj is another driver who's been around for a long time. He's sim raced for as long as any of us, and he shows it every week out on the track. He's out there somewhere being quiet but banking them points.
Let's go take a look at the Friday night Xfinity bonus points. Robert Balcom picking up another victory in this series. That's 3 for him. He didn't make very many races in the first segment, so he didn't get full segment bonus points for the first segment, but I think he only made 3 races. So he's got those 3 bonus points plus his 3 wins, giving him a total of 6 right now. So he would currently be 9 points behind the leaders, myself and Rick Johnson, with 15 bonus points. And then you'd have still the same 3 tied for second: Chevy Chase, BSR Pockets, and HB Hardy, all with 14. You got Nelly, Terry Scott, and Brain Fade with 13. Still those same ties up there. Still a close battle for the lead going into the chase, and still some segment points to be handed out here at the end of segment 2 for the top 5.
Again, I think it's worthy to note here on the Robert Balcom show that Robert told me last week that he watched the spotter stand, and we appreciate him tuning in, and he said that we were doing a great job, and we really appreciate that, because that's what we do. We do this for the drivers and the fans. And I think what you're seeing here is Robert races so much that Robert comes in, sits down at the wheel, and he races. Whatever success he gets out of it, he gets out of it. But I think by watching these segments on the spotter stand, I think Robert's starting to figure out the way this whole deal's working, and he's saying, hey, I have a legitimate shot at winning a legitimate championship, and one of the best championships offered in sim racing today. And he's looking at these things that we do, posting these up, showing the bonus points, showing how the system works and everything like that. And I'm pretty sure that that's why you're going to start seeing a little bit more of the 118 car. And that is going to step the level of competition up for everybody. You are going to have to start getting it done, because when Robert comes in, that's just a whole another level of competition. And we're glad to have Robert join us, and we're glad to be able to have the Robert Balcom show every Sunday here on the spotter stand.
Yeah. And, I tell you, he said right now he is 9 points off the lead. But, he's showing no signs of missing many races in this second segment. So I'm pretty confident he's probably going to get full bonus points for the second segment. And he's probably going to get a couple of more wins before this segment's over. And, myself currently being in the lead, and I'm probably speaking for Rick Johnson as well. I'm sure he's just as worried as I am. 9 points. 9 points is 9 points, but with Robert Balcom Man, that 9 points just doesn't seem like very much. You know what I mean?
No,
No,
that's
it's
only
not.
1 point a race. 1 point a race over 10 races. That's definitely a doable situation for sure.
And I think it's worth noting. Robert and I are buddies, and he knows I give him a hard time any chance I get the opportunity to kind of poke him, rib him a little bit. I do. So that's just me kind of poking at my friend there. So, but yeah, Robert. I mean, like I said, he's just a great guy on and off the track, and the off of the track part of Robert that I've gotten to know is just he really is a great guy, and we really are proud to have that level of person because, like I say, great people is what makes great racing, and Robert is a part of that. As well as all of the other people that we have in our series. That's what makes our series and our racing so great is each and every individual that come to these series races and support our racing, and along with our sponsors, Drunken Cow Jerky, WLS Graphics, the whole host. Texan will show you that little list here at the end, and we want to thank everybody that sponsors us and everybody that comes out and races. Absolutely.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Now, there wasn't a race this week in the Cup Series. Wasn't any changes in this. We'll go ahead and give you guys another quick look at what the Cup Series bonus points look like heading into Infineon. The list of wins pretty long. Quite a few guys that have pulled off a win in this series. You see Robert here on the Robert Balcom Show. Of course, we need to mention this. Robert up there at the top of that board in this series with 4 wins, pulling off a lot of victories here in the Cup Series. Rick Johnson and Keith McLean also with 2 wins. See if Momo's on that list over there. No, I was going to say he may have more than it shows because he also won Daytona. But yeah, Robert, doing another great job in another series here with 4 wins, topping the board there. I believe this series he also didn't make the minimum in the first segment to get his full bonus points. So he's got his 4 for the win, and then it looks like another 5 that he made in the first segment. He got bonus points for those. So currently sitting at 9 bonus points is Robert in this series, and that puts him again 9 points off the lead. There I'm BSR Texan currently holding the lead in this one at 18 with 2 drivers tied for second, Chevy Chase and Steve Looney with 17. And then 2 drivers tied for third, Axel Foley and Momo with 16. And once again, 9 points. I wouldn't mind having, more like 14 or 15 points, maybe 16.
Yeah, and the thing about it is these segments and these chase bonus points and everything. This is just drivers packing their bags and getting ready to go to the big show, the last 10 races. This is kind of preliminary. This is kind of qualifying for the big show. It's just a little extra advantage that you can carry into the big show. The last 10 races of the chase. This is the way the real chasing, real racing should be. I kind of based it off of kind of another way of thinking because, like I said, this is set up for sim racers who, you can't expect a driver to be at every single race, even though we're fortunate enough to have a pretty good group of racers that make every single race. But this is just like I said, this is drivers getting ready for the big show. And the last 10 races of this is going to be the most outstanding 10 races in all of sim racing right here over all of these series. When we get to the spotter stand week that we head into the first race of the chase, then it's going to get good. It's going to get juicy, and we're going to get to see who is the best because you're going to have to be the best to pull this off. I promise you.
Yep, it's all about those last 10. And, like Puck says, even if you can't make all the races in the season, you still have a chance in that last 10. Even the guys you see in this list with just 1 bonus point, they've got a legitimate opportunity to win the championship. I mean, they're only 17 points off the lead with 10 races. And that lead driver, it only takes one bad race for them to lose 20 something points. So it's definitely doable for anybody on the list.
Yeah, and for all the people that tune in and watch the spotter stand and hear us talk about this stuff, remember, go to Facebook, go to either the Bomb Squad Racing page or the Drunken Cow Jerky 6 Flavors Racing page. The Drunken Cow Jerky 6 Flavors Racing page, that is our TV station. That is where we have the links to drivers who are streaming live. We have more live streaming drivers per race than any other sim league out there. You can hop in the car of your favorite driver, your favorite flavor. They don't, some drivers don't stream every night, but we have at least 2 or 3 live streams of cars that you can hop in, ride along, and ride in these races with these drivers. Ride as they hit the peaks and the valleys, as I referred to earlier. And it's, if you love racing, there's no way you couldn't love this. Get in these cars, ride with us, listen to the way we communicate with each other and the good time that we have. And that'll give you a little more insight to when we come to these pages and show you these bonus points. You'll know a little bit more about what we're talking about because you were there. You were riding with that driver. You know what success and failures he's having. And it just gets another layer of the things that we try to do here to make sim racing great for everybody.
And not to mention, when you're riding along with that driver, you can hear all the drivers in team speak, as well as what's going on with that driver. And sometimes that's more entertaining than watching the race. There's some there's some pretty off topics that get discussed every once in a while.
In Friday night's race, I was sitting there thinking, you've heard people say here recently that NASCAR is declining and with the changes they've made and everything like that. And I thought to myself, that would bring NASCAR probably all the way back up to the top of all sports if they did just that. Let all of the drivers communicate and broadcast that so they could all talk to each other like we do when we're racing. Now, it would be a little tricky with 42 people as opposed to 23, but I think that would be great to hear the drivers communicating with and allowed to communicate with each other during the race. That would bring NASCAR to a whole different level.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
would be a TV show you wanted to watch right there.
Hey, could you imagine, instead of when you're coming up on somebody and you pass because you're faster, you have to radio your crew chief, and they got to talk to their crew chief, and then they got to talk to the driver. I mean, you could just ask that driver, "Hey, man, you're gonna let me by? Do I need to go high, low? What's the deal?" It might improve the racing some too.
Absolutely, and I've always said that if NASCAR would just, give me a call and let me bring my sponsor, Drunken Cow Jerky, along and stuff like that, I think we could make NASCAR what it needs to be. I really do. There's just things that you can do. You got to think outside the box like we always try to do, or look at the other side of the coin here. But if anyone from NASCAR is watching, I could probably schedule out a little bit of time during my busy week here to help them improve their sport.
I absolutely believe that you could.
I have a quick question for Pockets and Texan. You guys were earlier in the year giving out jerky to your viewers. Are you guys still doing that?
Absolutely.
We
haven't won any.
We haven't given any away that way either. So I was just curious. Throwing it out there for the new viewers we may have.
I mean, and I have been fortunate enough to win a couple of jerky prizes that I have forwarded to our dedicated viewers who watch through a drawing that I have. And yes, we, it's funny that you say that because I put Texan in the hot seat on that deal, and he really didn't have any choice but to kind of match that program that I started. And I did it inadvertently. I put the pressure on him inadvertently because he and I both stream every race that we're in. And when I did it, we were sitting in here talking, and he said, I guess since you're doing that, it's probably only right that I do it. So it put him in the position to where he does it also. But that's something we're proud to do because our sponsor takes great care of us. And if I need some jerky, I can buy jerky from Drunken Cow Jerky. It's part of our mission to get the word out and get people, get them some of these products, because that's what keeps our sponsor happy. That's what the deal is with our sponsor. Getting the word out there, getting people to try it. And I come up with that deal because I've always told Mark Heyman, I've never seen anybody order Drunken Cow Jerky one time, because the first time they order it and the first time they get any of it, it's over. They're, you know what I mean? They're ordering 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 times. They become repeat customers right off the bat. So in my head, I was thinking, hey, if I win some jerky and I give it to somebody, they're going to try this jerky and they're going to automatically want to go buy some, because I can tell you this, if they're dependent on me to give it away, they'll starve to death. But I haven't been fortunate enough to give people a few prizes, and so that was the whole philosophy behind that.
Yeah, and I've done pretty much the same thing. Anytime I have won any, but before we, got into this deal of giving it to our viewers, I've always shared some of it, and encouraged them to go and order some for themselves. And anybody who would like to, if you take a look in the description box below the video here, there is a link to Drunken Cow Jerky where you can go and get yourself some of that great beef jerky. Remember that new flavor, Reaper. From what I hear, man, that's a great flavor. People are really loving that.
They were talking about it the other night, and I think, here's another thing to consider is that, we have drivers, and I'm going to list these drivers. We are ambassadors for our sponsor. We drive specific flavored cars, except on the Saturday Night Team Series, we mix it up just because that's a different procedure. But Texan is the driver of the 201 original flavor car. Larry, the good doctor, is the driver of the teriyaki car. Our good friend Chevy Chase, he is the driver of the ghost pepper flavored car. I am the driver of the hot flavored car. And our good friend BSR Momo, number 54, the driver of the beer bacon car. And our good friend BSR Bama is the Wolf Bites car. We also have other people who have Drunken Cow Jerky and Otis the Cow on their car, representing our sponsor and taking good care of him and stuff like that. So that's kind of the backstory on that. That's why we consider ourselves ambassadors for our sponsor, and we do things like, hey, if we win, you win. That's kind of the whole deal there.
Yeah, and let's give a mention to all of our sponsors here. Drunken Cow Jerky, of course. We also have Brian Boyles, Kathy Boyles from Boyles Trucking, Rick Craddock from Realtech LLC, of course BSR Scar, WLS Graphics, BSR RJ Rusty and the Medicine Chest Pharmacy, and Hello Sunshine Hello, BSR Tyler and Rhoda. And we appreciate all of you guys and everything you do for us all season, every season. And yeah.
Did we just go an hour and a half on the spotter stand at Iowa?
No, we started a little late, hour and 15 minutes.
Okay, hour and 15 minutes. Well, we hope we give everybody all the information. We hope we're making it entertaining for y'all. We're just another thing that we're trying to do to just add a little something extra, keep you updated, and give people the mention that they need and appreciation and stuff. And for example, like we said, the Robert Balcom show is this week's theme. So I'll be honest with you. I hope that it can be somebody else's show next week, but I'm not. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if you tune in next week, it's likely to be the Robert Balcom show again, but maybe, I'm sure he's going to get at least one victory out of 7 races that we have throughout the week. So we'll see.
Yeah, if you want to be featured on this show, get your ass out there and race for it, and we'll be more than happy to talk about you. I promise you.
Before we get out of here, Any of you guys got anything you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to promote?
All I want to say is Happy Father's Day to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. Headed to St. Louis at Gateway, Infineon, and more racing action at the Dirt. And just Happy Father's Day to everybody. Hope everybody had a great day, great weekend. We'll see y'all next week. I'm pretty much done.
Yes, just like to say, Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And yep, that's all. That's all I got.
Well, if you guys remember, Axel does have a series up tonight. Little Father's Day racing at Bristol in the Aero 88 mod. Practice should already be up. Qualify be kicking off in a little over a half an hour. Hopefully we'll get enough guys to turn out to race and have a little fun tonight. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you next week on the Spotter Stand.
Holla!